FM and 99.9 HD2.
Pistol formation here, and is Murray on the...
Your life?
Uh-oh! Kyler Murray! Oh! Turn on the afterburners! He's gone! How's that for a start?
Superhero, superhuman. Looked like it to me on that.
That's Kyler Murray in his 50-yard TD run, as that was the first score. They were 5 for 5 this year on the first series in scoring, and credit Fox on that. Rudy Carpenter joins us now on the Right to It guest line. Rudy, you talked about it last week. You said, "Hey, we got to see Kyler Murray run," and we did. That was a big one yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's a really important piece of Kyler Murray's game. Not just designed quarterback runs, but also, the scrambling and the extending plays and the secondary runs. But, when you're him and you can average almost 12 yards a carry against the San Francisco 49ers, I think that's a weapon that they could utilize even more than they did.
Rudy, you watch him, and as a fan of the Cardinals, at least myself, you watch him and you just get so frustrated because it's such a roller coaster ride you are with him, because he can make those big plays with his legs, but then he can overthrow somebody pretty easily too. I mean, don't you think after 5 years this should not be the case, or is this is who he is?
I mean, that's a tough question, because it's really easy for us to sit here, with a microphone and behind a desk, saying, man, why is it so hard for Kyler to be more accurate in some of his throws, when he's on the run, or man, it's Kyler's really inconsistent, and that's frustrating. I mean, there's no doubt all that stuff is true, but I mean, he's also playing against some of the best, obviously the best football players in the world. So yeah, I mean, is it frustrating? Of course. Would you love to see Kyler make more of these plays and be more consistent? Yeah, for a multitude of reasons. Number one, you want the play, right? But I think the other thing is when a quarterback extends a play and then makes a big play, it's so crushing for a defense, and it just demoralizes them. And you see that all the time with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. When those guys run around, and then come up with a huge play, similar to Lamar Jackson's touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely at the end of the game. It's like those types of plays are incredibly demoralizing for a defense.
How about only 7 targets to James Harrison Jr.? It's not all on him. 2 catches, 36 yards. Of course, had that big one late in the fourth quarter on that fourth down. But is this just going to take some time to get him more into the offense?
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, it's another tough question. I think, what'd you say? He had 7 targets yesterday. I believe he only came up with 2 catches for like a little bit less than 40 yards. But, I mean, he averaged like just under 20 yards a catch. Both of those are explosive plays. I'm not watching the film, so, again, hard for me to say. But when you listen to the coaching staff of the Cardinals talk, you can hear them say that so much of the time, even this early in Marvin's career, that the defense is rolling the coverage to him. They're putting a safety up over the top. They're giving the corners help. I mean, already this early in his career, defenses are focusing on him and doing everything they can to take him out of the football game. And to me, that's pretty incredible. But I think what we'll need to see from Marvin Harrison moving forward is, what do all those great players do, like a Megatron or his dad or a Larry Fitzgerald, or all of these great players, when they are getting double teamed, when they are getting triple teamed, when they have a guy in press coverage and they're beating them up and banging them up, and they have a guy stacked over behind him. I mean, look, those great players, those really good Hall of Fame wide receivers, they still come up with big time catches. And, it's going to be interesting to see if Marvin Harrison can do that. A really good example is, again, that kid from Alabama the last couple of weeks, one against Georgia,
Williams.
and also against Vanderbilt, Ryan Williams. He had a couple of amazing catches when he was, getting double teamed at the end of the game in a crucial situation.
Rudy Carpenter is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Rudy, the Cardinals were dealt a heavy blow. They have lost offensive lineman Will Hernandez, considered to be, if not the nastiest guy on the offensive line, maybe their best offensive lineman. Look, I understand the next man up mentality, but as a former quarterback, how does that sit then with the quarterback, as now you're going to have somebody replace what seems to be one of your best, if not the best, offensive linemen?
Yeah, I agree that he's probably the best offensive lineman the Arizona Cardinals can have. If you don't think he's the best, he's definitely the second best guy. But I also think, if the Arizona Cardinals, the one, besides quarterback, obviously, the one area that they just couldn't afford injuries at was definitely the offensive line. And, obviously now they've been hurt up front. And I just think it's huge for the Arizona Cardinals, and it's devastating, for this team and for this offense. Not only is Will Hernandez a great player, but he's a seasoned veteran who knows what he's doing. He understands the game plans. He's able to adjust quickly in a game because these are not the first time that he's seen all these different looks. He's got a ton of experience. And then, like you guys said, he's physical. He's got a little bit of that, nasty in him. He's not Richie Incognito, but he's got some of that nasty in him. And in my viewpoint, the Arizona Cardinals need a lot more of that type of behavior.
All right, Rudy, let's talk about your Sun Devils. I know KU came in a little banged up and not having a great year, but a win is a win. And the way that they won in that fourth quarter, those are program changing wins like that, the way that they did. What are your thoughts? Your takeaway on this team being 4-1?
Yeah, and I think it's unfortunate because I think that Kansas football team is a much, much, much better football team than their record indicates. That's a good football team. People who don't know, Lance Leopold is the head coach of that team. In my viewpoint, he is one of the very best coaches in college football. I promise you, he is a great coach. So that team is better than 1-4 or 1-5, whatever they are. Again, personally, I had people ask me all the time, and even up until this game, I didn't really know, who ASU was this year or what they were about this year, because I just don't think they've played anybody that can, give us a good insight or a good look into who this football team is going to be. Texas State didn't provide that. Mississippi State didn't provide that. Texas Tech was a interesting, weird game. Maybe they're a little bit better than people thought. But, I mean, going into the year, I think Vegas had, the Sun Devils winning 4.5 games. They're basically already there. So if you ask me, I mean, Kenny is coaching his ass off. I mean, in my viewpoint, that coaching staff is coaching their butts off. And you got to give him, and that staff a ton of credit, because as much as I like a lot of players on that team, as great as they are, guys, let's be real. There's not a lot of NFL draft picks on that team.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Well, I think Utah, I mean, I hate to say it's going to be a good test, but wow, if they can keep that momentum, if they can knock off Utah on Friday night, then I think the eyes will be on Arizona State a little bit more, because right now they're not even getting any sniffs in the polls. They're not even getting any votes.
Yeah. Well, look, I think Utah is interesting. The last, what feels like the last 5 to 10 years, Utah's been, a real juggernaut.
Yeah.
And a real tough team to beat, whether you have them at home, whether you have them on the road. They're just a real tough out, a really tough team to beat. But I think right now, Utah is primed. They are primed to get beat. This is, to me, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a difficult game for ASU. But this is a game that ASU can win, in my humble opinion.
Rudy, thank you so much. It was a good W for local sports here in football. So good stuff, especially when U of A loses down there too. So you got to like that. So a good day. Well, hopefully, hopefully next week we'll talk about a nice win over Utah.
Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I'd say is that receiver down there at U of A is a great player.
Oh,
I mean, that guy to me is a freak daddy. He'll be a high pick, and he's a great player. But yeah, I love when U of A loses.
That's Rudy Carpenter joining us here. Thank you, Rudy. You can follow him on Twitter at Rudy. Appreciate Rudy once again, of course, talking about Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, and then, of course, the ASU big win. Hey, there's been a slight shift in the top 5, the latest college football coaches poll. We're going to dive into that. We're out here at the Trophy Bar in downtown Ocotillo for tonight.